You know, I'm glad we got to work together on this project.
Me too.
And look at how many different sources we found already.
Yeah, there sure has been a lot written about Lewis and Clark. And here comes Casey with some more.
Hey guys, I just found this book that maps the complete path of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Check it out.
This is good.
Oh, the famous research team. Maya, Casey, and Amanda. What are you researching today?
Our class is doing group projects on important American explorers.
And we chose Lewis and Clark. We have to convince the class that they had the greatest impact on American history.
You've obviously collected a wide range of materials on them so far.
We've got books, videos, maps.
We've gone to almost every corner of the library.
It certainly looks like you have, and that's great. But have you tried the internet?
We were just talking about going online.
We could find lots of stuff we could use.
Like important documents.
Maps.
Pictures.
You're right. The internet has a wealth of information just waiting for you. And you can access it by using search tools like subscription databases, subject directories, and search engines.
You're going to fill us in on what those things are, right?
Absolutely. The best way to find out is to start exploring. So, shall we begin?
Let's do it.
Okay, first things first. Before you start any kind of research, you want to make sure you have clear questions in mind. That will help you focus. So exactly what do you want to know about Lewis and Clark?
Well, from what I've read so far, I'm kind of interested in what their purpose was. Why did they make the journey in the first place?
Excellent. How about you, Casey?
I want to know what they accomplished.
So you want to know what their impact was?
Right. I want to know how their trip changed America and maybe even the world.
What would you like to focus on, Maya?
Well, I read that Lewis and Clark kept a journal of all the plants and animals they saw. I'm going to be a scientist someday, so I would like to find out about their contributions to the world of science.
This is really a great start. You have a strong focus already, and you'll find that's an important part of an effective internet search. And it just so happens that I know a librarian in training who's an online ace. Come with me.
So, you'd like to do some research online, huh?
Yeah, Miss Reedmore said you're an ace at it.
Thank you. Well, for starters, I'd suggest FSE.
FSE?
Focus, strategize, and evaluate.
They're helpful tips good searchers use.
Sounds a little complicated.
Actually, it's surprisingly simple. But the best way to learn how these tips can help you is by applying them to your search. In fact, you've already begun to do so. Think how much you've focused your search so far. Your class started with explorers. You three narrowed it down to Lewis and Clark. And now each one of you has your own area of special interest about their journey.
So are we focused enough to go online?
I'd say you're focused and ready.
The first thing you have to remember is that the internet is vast. It covers many different areas and activities, and I'm sure you use some of them already.
Oh, I go online all the time.
I like sending instant messages and emails.
It's good for playing games.
And sometimes I use it to look up stuff.
All good answers, but it's that last part, the search for information, that we'll be looking into today. We'll be investigating the tools that will enable you to search the World Wide Web.
That's what that www that you see on websites stands for, right?
You got it.
But even though the World Wide Web is only part of the internet, it's still incredibly large because it truly is a whole worldwide network of information.
And to help you move around the web, there's a special tool you need to use. It's called a web browser.
Oh, you mean like Internet Explorer?
Or Netscape Navigator.
Explorers and navigators. It's just like the people we're researching in our class project.
I guess it's because they help you explore or navigate the web.
Good thinking, Maya. And now that we have the browser open, we're almost ready to launch your internet search. But first, we have to think about the second of our research tips, strategizing. Any ideas of what that means?
I think a strategy is like having a plan.
Yes, kind of like mapping out a trip, so you can figure out the best way to get from here to there.
Good. And having a good plan keeps you on the right track, so you don't go wandering all over the place.
Yeah, it is pretty easy to wander on the internet.
Tell me about it. But that's because there are so many things to get interested in, which means it's probably a good thing to have a strategy.
Definitely. And an important first strategy is selecting your search tool.
What are our choices?
You actually have lots of options. You can perform your search using subscription databases, subject directories, search engines, or a combination of all three.
Those are the things Miss Reedmore said we were going to learn about.
Oh, I've used a subscription database before.
Then I'll tell you what, Amanda. Since you're familiar in searching that way, why don't you and I go explore subject directories while Miss Reedmore helps these guys venture into subscription databases?
Sounds good.
So, subscription databases. Does that mean you pay for them like a magazine subscription?
That's right. Schools and libraries subscribe to these services so that you can have access to them.
But why would you do that when you can find all kinds of free information on the web?
Well, Casey, many people are not aware much of the information available online is not for free. And many librarians believe subscription databases are well worth the money. For example, the online databases we subscribe to contain high-quality materials specifically for kids. Our subscription databases direct you to materials from related books, newspapers and magazines, transcripts from TV or radio, and reference materials like atlases. Online encyclopedias like Encyclopedia Britannica and Grolier Online are also examples of subscription databases. And in addition to their own articles, subscription databases also can lead you to a specially selected list of web pages. To see how it works, why don't you give one a try? CIRS Discover is a great resource to use.
Okay, I'll type in Lewis. Hey, I got back all kinds of things I didn't need, like Lewis Carroll, C.S. Lewis, and Jerry Lewis. Maybe I should be a little more specific.
Very good, Casey. An important part of your strategy is thinking carefully and creatively about the words you choose for your search. When you are just starting out your research on a subscription database, one strategy you can use is the subject search. This approach works best when you only have one word or concept to search.
Like explorers.
Right, Maya. But based on your earlier library investigations, you probably have a more focused idea of what you're looking for than just the big concept of explorers. So now a keyword search might work best for you. And to get the results you want, you need to really think about which keywords and phrases would be most helpful to you.
Well, I know I don't want to plug in just Lewis or just Clark, because that didn't work very well for Casey. So I think I'll plug in Lewis and Clark.
That's a good search strategy. Now you're talking about using a string of words, and that's called a phrase.
I've done that before. I know that when you put the phrase in quotes, it's like telling your computer, look for exactly these words in exactly this order.
Exactly right, Casey.
But what if I want to search for Lewis and Clark and other ideas too?
Yeah, like Lewis and Clark and impact.
Great point. When you combine search terms, that has a name too. It's called using a Boolean strategy. The idea behind a Boolean strategy is that you use words like and, or, and not to combine words with a specific purpose in mind. For example, let's say you want to focus your search to return only those results that contain all of the words in your list.
You'd use and because it's like addition. You want every single one of them in your results.
Great! And if you want your results to include any of the words in your list, but not necessarily all of them?
You'd put or between them because that gets you one or the other, right?
Right. That approach usually gives you a larger number of results. You can use or if you want to have synonyms in your search like car and automobile. But let's say there's something you don't want in your search.
I know. You can say, I want this, but not that other thing.
Why would you do that?
This type of strategy is particularly helpful in problem searches to avoid certain types of results.
One time, I did a search about eagles, and I got a lot of results, including stuff about football teams. but I was really looking for birds. So I typed in eagles, not football, and I didn't get any more of those football results.
Right. But and is the big one to remember, the one you'll use all the time.
After all this strategizing, I'm ready to do my own search.
I'm going to get started too.
All right, the search is on.
Okay, here's the search box. So I'm going to put in keywords that fit my investigation. I'm going to type in Lewis and Clark and put them in quotes and combine that phrase with the word I keep seeing in my research, legacy.
Good word.
Well, I looked it up in the dictionary, and it means what they're famous for or what they left us today.
You've got some great strategizing going on here, Casey. Let's see where it leads.
Whoa, I got bad things from magazines and newspapers. That's pretty cool.
Now that you've got some results, you're on to the next searching tip, evaluating. You've got to figure out whether or not these results are going to be helpful to you.
I think most of these would be helpful because they discuss Lewis and Clark's accomplishments. But I think I'll go to this article first because it comes from the National Park Service. I think I can count on information from them being right.
Those are some really great results, Casey. I found some great stuff on their contributions to science, too. Subscription databases are really helpful.
And remember, even though you're accessing subscription databases here in the school library, I can give you passwords so that you can use them at home. Plus, if you want to send something you find here to your home computer, most subscription databases allow you to send articles home through email links.
That's a good thing to know.
Well, I think you two have discovered many good things to know, and I wouldn't be surprised if Amanda has learned quite a bit about subject directories by now.
So, Amanda, have you ever used Yahooligans or KidsClick to look things up?
Sure.
Great. Those are subject directories meant especially for kids.
Yeah, I've used it before. But I just didn't realize they were called subject directories.
Well, they are. And you can access them here or at home on the free web.
Okay. So, from the address line in the browser, I type in www.yahooligans.com.
Subject directories like this one are catalogs of websites. They're collected, organized, and maintained by people whose job it is to organize information into large categories and smaller subcategories. From the Yahooligans directory, you can select a large category like
Around the world.
and then a smaller subcategory like
History.
and you can continue to get more and more specific until you find what you want. If you have a general topic, browsing through the subject directory can be a useful way to begin your research. But you guys already have very specific needs. Most subject directories also allow you to search their directories. So, you can use the search box to enter your keywords and phrases.
I'm going to put my phrase in the search box. Lewis and Clark. Hey, I have 4 category matches.
Good work! Now, do you notice how the list of subjects is divided into smaller and smaller subjects?
Yes.
Well, those are all the subcategories you go through to get what you're looking for. Subject directories have editors who review and select the sites they are going to include, so the quality of sites you'll find is often very good.
And you don't have to search through tens of thousands of results to find what you're looking for. This is great.
Let me know if you need anything. I'm going to check on some other students.
So, how's the research coming?
Pretty good. I think I got the hang of subscription databases. Next, I'm going to check out what's on Google.
Ah, another good example of a search tool, a search engine.
Hold on a second here. Why do we need a search engine?
Well, a search engine can add real power to your search.
Okay, I get the engine thing. But how does it work?
It's like this. You plug your keywords and phrases into the search engine, and it helps you find what you're looking for. You see, the neat thing about search engines is that they use computer programs called robots or spiders. These tools seek out and match web documents to the terms you enter in the search box. Some even sort your results in special ways so the things you really want are more likely to get to the top of your result lists.
Okay, I'm ready to get started.
Hey guys, I found some great sources using subject directories. What are you guys up to?
Maya's about to put a search engine to the test.
Prepare to take control of the search engine. Let's run through our research tips. Are you focused?
Check.
Do you have a search strategy?
Check.
Just remember that Google and many search engines assume you mean and when you put in a list of words, so you don't have to type it.
Okay. Now, if I'm trying to find out about the science of Lewis and Clark's exploration, I think I use that as one of my keywords. Lewis and Clark, expedition, science. Look at this one. Science along the Lewis and Clark Trail. This looks like a great site.
And look at all those links you can click on. That one, about birds and mammals Lewis and Clark observed, looks perfect.
Amanda, I noticed you call these underlined words links.
Sure, when you click on them, they automatically link you to someplace else with more information.
They're actually called hyperlinks, and they can be very helpful. But be careful. They can also lead you off your path, if you're not careful.
Tell me about it. Sometimes you link from one place to another so much that you totally forget where you came from.
But that's why there's the back button. That little button can take you back to the last page you visited.
Speaking of back, we better get back to work.
We've got a ton of information to sort through.
All your hard work brings us back to our third important research tip.
Evaluate.
Right. In fact, you've already begun to evaluate your result list to see which sites are really worth visiting.
We have?
Sure. You've already made several judgments as to which sites might help you in your search and which might not.
We have. Like realizing Jerry Lewis wasn't going to tell us anything about Lewis and Clark.
I fixed that.
You did. And now to help you make even more good judgments, here's a helpful list of questions that can guide you as you evaluate. Is it up to date?
Well, I guess that is a little less important when you're researching historical information.
But you should look for new historical discoveries and make sure the different links are all working. And that tells you whether somebody's keeping up the site.
Is it useful to you?
Oh, like does it give you evidence that helps you prove your point?
Is it at your reading level? Does it make sense?
Is it accurate?
That can be hard to tell sometimes. But if there are a lot of spelling errors, you can tell that no one really checked it that well.
Or if you get information that's really different from what you found in other resources, you should probably be suspicious.
Oh, I've got an example for that. Amanda, remember that goofy website you came across during your research?
Oh, right. Jim's really great Lewis and Clark page. Here it is.
Now that site had some bad information.
Like what?
Well, all our other sources say that the president at the time was Thomas Jefferson.
Right?
This page says that it was John Adams.
We don't need that in our presentation. Good catch, Amanda.
Next question. Is it balanced or biased?
That means is what you're reading fact, or is it somebody's opinion?
Terrific. Sometimes bias can be useful, especially if you're gathering material for a debate or a persuasive speech. But it's important that you realize what the bias is.
You should also be on the lookout for sponsored results, or results that have been paid for. Some people pay to have their websites appear high on your results page. You might want to avoid those sites.
And there's one last question you should always consider. Is it reliable and credible? You need to ask yourself, who created this page? Is it written by an expert? And because you could be using it in your presentation, is it a source you would be proud to include in your own bibliography or works cited page?
Well, we know we don't want Jimmy's really great Lewis and Clark page as one of our sources.
There's a lot to consider when you search the web. So you have to be an information judge. You've got to decide whether the resources you find really answer your questions and provide solid evidence to prove your point.
One clue to help you start to evaluate a website is by looking at its web address. For example, did you ever notice that websites have several different endings?
Like .com?
Or .org.
Well, those endings help you tell what kind of website you're visiting. .com means commercial or business, and their focus often is to make money. .org is usually a nonprofit organization or association, like a museum, for example.
I found a really great site about science along the Lewis and Clark Trail that was a .gov site. What does that mean?
The .gov ending, which means the site was created by a government agency, is usually a good sign that you're on a reliable site created by experts. Another good option are sites ending in .edu. That means the site is run by an educational institution like a college or a school district.
Remember, looking at domain names can be helpful, but be careful. .edus may be written by a third grader. And .orgs often have very strong points of view or biases, like an organization trying to get their candidate elected. And some .coms have useful information.
Hey, what's that stuff that pops up on my screen sometimes? And why does it ask me for my name? I don't want to give out that information.
Good decision, Amanda. You never give out personal information. For your own safety, you should not reveal your name, your school name, your phone number, your email address, your picture, without first asking a parent or teacher. In other words, treat strangers online in the same way you would treat strangers on the street.
And you need to understand that sometimes inappropriate words or pictures may pop up on your screen during your search.
If that happens, I would just close the window and move on by using the back button.
Good. And you should make sure you let an adult know.
You know, most schools set rules and responsibilities for behavior on the school or library networks and the internet. It's called an acceptable use policy.
The idea is, just as you know the rules for behavior and safety in the halls and in your classrooms, well, it's smart to follow them when you're online too.
Hey guys, I found some great materials on this site that we could use.
You almost want to cut and paste it right into the presentation. But that would be wrong.
Good call, Maya.
It would be like copying from someone's paper or right out of a book. I wouldn't do that.
That's right. If someone else wrote it, you can't just use it word for word as your own.
Exactly. There's a name for that.
That's called plagiarism.
Right, Casey. But here's a question. Since you all know not to just lift something off the internet and claim it's yours, what do you do when you come across source material you want to use?
That's easy. You just make sure you give credit to whoever wrote it.
Excellent. That's called creating a citation or documenting your sources.
Works for me. And to do that, I know I can just follow these guidelines for documenting sources.
Which we got from the school librarian.
The very helpful school librarian.
Well, thank you very much. And I must say, I think you've all come very far in your exploration.
And it's just the beginning. We still have to pull it all together and prove that Lewis and Clark were the greatest American explorers.
But you're off to a great start.
And remember, just like it's good to use a range of different materials offline, like books, articles, videotapes, and other sources, it's good to use a range of search methods on the web.
Absolutely. Good searchers use a combination of search engines, subject directories, and subscription databases when they search.
And great researchers use all the resources the library makes available to them.
Thanks for all your help.
Yeah, we really learned a lot we can use.
And not just for this project either.
That's the whole idea, Casey. What you learned today you can use again and again and again.
And remember, whenever you need it, your librarians are here to help you navigate through the world of information, whether you're online or offline. But now, you've got a big adventure ahead of you, which is to collect the information you need and put it all together. I know you've got the tools, so I'm sure your mission will be a success. Have a great adventure.